What's going on? What's going on? How y'all doing? Y'all doing? Let me go ahead and introduce this crew on this lovely Wednesday. Got Miss Callie, True Blue, Amira, Heat, Luis, Brittany Gold, even self Lapeef JR. Welcome to the Wednesday show. What's going on, fam?
Hey,
I'm gonna
hey.
have to change my name to True Blue. 'Cause
Oh,
I think you like that one, Jr.
oh. What the hell is True Blue? Is that something?
I think so, but yeah, it's all good.
Table, my apologies, man.
You good, family?
Yeah. I don't know why I keep saying this. True table, true table.
Yeah.
Let me put it on my dry erase board right here, man. To make sure I get that right next time. Anyhow, it's good to see you, man. If you haven't already, hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you're watching the replay, hit that like button. And also, make sure you subscribe as well. What's going on, Miss Parker? How you doing? Got Mills 36 in the house. It's Marcus Williams. My apologies, Marcus Williams. How y'all doing? Thank you guys for tuning in today. Got a great show here for you guys. Men are lying. A woman's money does matter to men. A woman's money does matter to men. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. I look forward to this conversation. I've been hearing, we've been having some dialogues in the past couple of weeks, man, kind of similar. I know finances has come up as far as a man's value. We talked about that on King Talk last night. If you guys haven't seen that, I suggest you go ahead. That was one for the books. So make sure y'all check that one out. Hank, been switching it up on us lately, man. Where you at now?
Hey man, I'm trying to keep the city dry, big brother. I'm at my local pump station.
Okay. I thought you was out there with Ye or something, man. I thought you was up in Wyoming or something.
No,
But you might be working on the next album.
no, that ain't it, man.
Let me see if I can fix your mic. Can you hear me, Hank? Trying to see if I can fix. Can you hear me, Hank? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Am I good?
Yeah, just turn your mic up a little bit. Okay, what about now?
Okay.
Mic check, Hank.
I might check. Am I good? Right on?
Yeah, it'll do. I think you may have a delay. So y'all just be mindful of that when Hank is talking. Just make sure you guys know that he has a delay. Luis, you good? All right.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So you going that fro out, man. Gonna go to get them braids, huh?
Yeah, I've been letting it grow out for a little bit.
Yeah, but light skin coming back. I see you over there trying to get your little Shamar Moore going on. I see you, brother.
My man Luis gonna get them straight. We gonna get them straight backs.
Yeah. The Bruno Mars special. Really. I see you. All right, so let's go ahead and get to it, man. Again, hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe. What's going on? Elevated Mind Healer, Royce M. Fifi. Mrs. Hink is in the house. Royce M. How y'all doing? Thank you, guys. Thank you. Let me just get my notes together here. All right, here we go. So we keep hearing that real men don't care about a woman's money, that he's supposed to provide regardless of what she brings in. But let's be real. Most men today don't make enough money to ignore a woman's income. That was what's put on the table, right? And when that woman is successful in living a lifestyle he can't match, now what? Now what? If we're being honest, can most men afford to provide everything today without a woman's help? Can most men afford to provide everything today without a woman's help? Go ahead, Luis. I see you shaking your head first. Go ahead, kick it off.
I don't think so. I think there's a select group of men that can do that. I mean, granted, there's a few caveats, right? I think it's very important for us to kind of qualify this question. I think men who have taken a certain route in their life, whether they went through trade school, the army, and have invested some money and and haven't piled up a lot of debt at a young age, are in probably a better financial position. Even though they don't make a whole lot of money, they don't have a whole lot of debt against that, and sort of they're able to kind of do a little bit more in that essence. um there are a lot of guys who do make a lot of money, but they have a lot of high debt. So it just really depends on a lot of factors. I know everybody's not really where they want to be at certain moments or certain seasons of their life, but I think that um, every man would love to do that, be able to cover and take care of everything. But I just don't think that every man is in a position at this moment to do that.
Okay.
They could, but
Lapeef, what do you mean by take care of everything, if you don't mind me asking? Like, what are they?
Just all the bills, like her lifestyle, just whatever's needed. So, like, however your lifestyle is, are men able to come in and be able to take care of everything?
So that's interesting that, just to add my 2 cents, that some of you all think that's not possible. Now, I don't think a man should have to come in and take care of like a woman's nails and hair, what if she goes and gets those things done. But he should be able to take care of himself before the woman comes into his life, right? So if he can pay his own bills, if he can pay his own rent and mortgage and light bill and gas bill, that should be an easy transition once he moves into a partnership, right? I think, people should be whole and able to care for themselves and provide for themselves before they move into any type of relationship. So once you actually move into a relationship, then that part should be a simple transition.
Okay.
so what if he's living in a 1-bedroom apartment or studio? That's not enough space for
Well,
two
yeah, I mean, when
people.
you add in
Right.
variables like the cost of the rent or the mortgage and things of that nature, you have to take that into account for sure.
So we're talking about a scalable example where there's
That's
like,
not always the case. I mean,
yeah.
every man doesn't live in a studio, so there will be variables. So yeah, to your point, Louise, there will be variables.
All right. Go ahead, Amir. What are your thoughts? Can most men afford to provide everything today without a woman's help?
I believe that the reason why men are having to actually care about a woman's income now is because women are starting to not provide feminine value. So they're starting to provide more masculine value at this point. So now men are starting to see them as more, not even equal, but as people that don't need to be taken care of anymore. So you see more men now demanding that a woman come and contribute. Like, I see so many panels now where men are saying, what do you bring to the table? If I bring you into my life, what are you going to bring? What are you going to give to me? What are you going to provide me that I can't provide myself? Those are questions that I don't believe were asked before of women, but now they are being asked because women wanted this equality. They wanted to be seen as capable. So now men are starting to see them as capable, and they're saying, well, if you're capable, then help me out with these bills. But when you ask your question, can most men afford to provide everything? I believe, yes, they can, because a woman, if you're going to be with a man, you should live according to his means. If you are with a man, you live according to what he can provide. So if he can only provide a Honda and a studio apartment, then you will live in the studio apartment and drive the Honda. And you will do your duties accordingly, and you will be a good wife, and you will not complain because you're not there for what he has. You're there to be with him. So yes, a man can provide, but if a woman is asking for a luxury lifestyle, then no. I mean, then there's going to be some difficulties coming with that. But I believe that a woman should live at a man's means. If you're going to be with a man, you need to live at his means.
All right. True. Table. It's on you, sir. Can most men afford to provide everything today without a woman's help?
Yeah, I believe so. I think I may be oversimplifying it, but I agree with Amir. It's not that men can't take care of everything. It's that we are now having a majority of women push a lifestyle that most of them actually don't live currently. And so I think it's somewhat of a hustle. You know, a lot of women are living in debt. A lot of them finance sandwiches through Klarna and Afterpay and Affirm. And so what I think has happened is that they got a little bit of taste of independence, and they see that even taking care of themselves is actually pretty substantial, it's heavy. And so now they're trying to, I think, creep themselves back into this structure, which is where the shaming is coming in. But majority of men, I believe, could, to Amir's point, take care of the basic needs, house, car, you know, food. But when you talk about luxury, you talk about floor seats, vacation in every quarter, no. Most people don't live like that. So, but I do believe most men could easily, actually. I digress.
Callie, what percentage of men today can truly cover all the bills?
All the bills is in like her combined bills and his bills as well.
All the bills.
I'd
In
say
your opinion, what percentage?
in America, I'd probably say about 20 to 30%. Because the average, just the cost of living, I live in California. So like, I don't know if anybody ever live in California, but it ain't that easy to live out here. I mean, they taxing you on everything. So a lot of men out here are struggling just to take care of themselves. Add another person to that. Oof. You know, so it's about 20 to 30% actually have the ability to go in and cover the entirety.
Okay.
Yeah, she's actually really freaking close. It's actually 35.9%. Yeah. Ooh. And this is based off a 2014 study by Wallet Nerd that they submitted. Yeah. So
And I guessed off the top of my dome because I live in California and it's expensive.
So Luis, that percentage was just for California?
So it says here that's a 24. So they did one for NerdWallet in 2014. It was not California, but they looked at holistically all men, that covering all the household bills. That was 35.9. Then they did a Pew Research study in 2017, and it said about 69% of married or cohabitating couples, men earning more than women, aligning with the man is as financial provider. And then in 2021, YouGov did a survey. Around 1/3 of women in relationships report being entirely or somewhat financially dependent on their partner. So yeah, it is a small percentage. You know, but you know what's interesting? Like, so I was sitting here taking notes while everybody spoke, right? And one of the things that dawned on me quickly was, at what age, I want to ask this to the men, at what age did you have a conversation with your father that he instilled a discipline or a mindset that about family building and family structuring, right? Because I think it's there's something to be said about what was instilled and taught to people back then compared to now, right? Like, a lot of young people coming out of high school or they're in their formative years, they're not really taught to, like, you got to be ready to prepare to take care of a family, right? There's a different kind of cultural living that we have today than back then. I have a neighbor, guy's like in his 80s. I love having conversations with him because he fills me in on a lot of the things, how he grew up. Back then we had the mills. You could get a job right out of high school. You didn't even need to finish high school. You didn't need a high school diploma, right? There was jobs ample and there was a lot of things that were happening. Unfortunately, today you need more skills, more education, and a little bit of luck and some connections, whatever, to make things going. But it's a lot more challenging to get through a lot of hurdles. Not that it can't be done, but I think for men to cover everything, I think there has to be a foundation that has to be laid out at the formative years of young men for them to think about family building and family creation. I think a lot of men are just playing catch up. That's what we're not really saying. A lot of men are playing catch up. They wasted their 20s and they gotten into their 30s and they're like, oh, fuck, like, what have I done for the last 10 years, 10 and a half years, right? They're like, I should do this. I should do that. I should become an entrepreneur. They don't even know what an entrepreneur is, right? It just sounds cool. It's just a buzz trend, but they haven't laid out the foundation of consistency and the hard work that comes with it in order to build upon something. Some of them have it knack, some fall into a little bit of luck, but a lot of them are just trying to figure it out. There's a lot of people who are getting to a certain point of their life and they're trying to figure it out. They wasted too much time. The music started playing slowly and they started noticing that the lights were coming on and they were like, oh fuck, I'm on an island by myself. Like, I didn't do anything to prepare for my life.
Do you want them to answer the question? Oh, you want mute. You're on mute.
Yeah, I mean, if the man could chime in and
yeah, if you guys can quickly go around, let's get go ahead, True. Like your foundation, your upbringing with your father. Were you taught anything about?
He never verbalized it. My dad just did. My mom probably, I can remember, she was home until I was 12, so she about 10 plus years she stayed at home. Then she got in the workforce. Maybe worked 5 years, but he didn't. There was no talk. He just did. So I kind of seen it, but there was no talk. This is what you do.
What about you, Hink?
As far as me, as when my dad was there before they got divorced, yeah, it wasn't a conversation. It was just like you said, it was a visual thing. I've seen it. Now it was a conversation with my uncle when I got into my teenage years, 13 to 14, and he, saying he not only told.
You sound, Hank.
Is it jacking up? Is it? Am I up?
Yeah, you're good. You're good right now.
Okay, so yeah, my uncle did verbalize it to me, and he talked about, we had those type of conversations as a man. What do you need to do and provide and take care of your family? I mean, he went as far as not only taking care of his kids and his wife, but he was taking care of his grandkids as well. So that was, him just showing, how he's ready to carry the whole load to the very end.
All right, for me, my biological father, he was around when I was young, but my grandfather was the one that was my father figure, and he didn't tell me anything about. He didn't teach me any of that. He just showed me how to make sure I take care of the house. Never have any conversations with me about relationships, about marriage, about any of that. It was just making sure the house is operating the way it needed to be. My grandfather had roles, and my grandmother had a role, and so they just stayed in their lane.
You know why this conversation, I'm so excited about it, personally, but why I believe it's dangerous is just my 2 cents, and I'll be concise. I don't believe that we understand that. Okay, I don't believe our women in the community collectively understand that you cannot put all that weight on most Black men unless he has lineage, because most communities, the reason why the men are able to provide, as you say, singular, is because they're walking into combined resources. From what I've observed, almost every community does this. No man starts from scratch. Our community does. And so that's why usually when you meet him, as Luis was saying, you screw off your 20s. It's not so much you're screwing off your 20s, you're hitting a reset. They're not passing you down houses. They're not co-signing for your loans. everything is at the start for most Black men. I don't believe our women understand that. So sometimes I think it's unrealistic to believe that you're going to meet a majority of Black men who have the resources at a young age to be able to take that weight on by themselves. You got to build. And I digress.
And sort of one anecdote that I would like to add to that is, you're absolutely right. I agree with that sentiment. I think that a lot of people are starting from scratch. They're starting from home base. But I think a way to remedy that is for people to build the mindset of not kicking your kids out at 18. Let's start right there. I think that becomes the pillar of which. So, for full transparency, I went to undergrad. I still lived at home. Didn't live on campus. I lived at home. I ate at home, right? And I worked as well, with my other siblings, etc., and my parents. Parents are still together. They're both retired now. And even when I finished and I worked and I was out there grinding, I still lived at home. So I saved a lot of money. And then when I went back to grad school, I went back to grad school, I still lived at home until about like a year, maybe a year and a half before I got out of grad school. I lived out by myself with my brother, but we weren't far from home. So I never cooked or any of that because I went home. But there was a system built in where I didn't have to shoulder a lot of personal responsibilities of trying to survive and figuring it all out. I had a tribe, I had a system, I had a family, right? A lot of young Black men don't have that. A lot of men don't have that. And we need that, right? We put this pressure of you got to succeed. You got to take that game winning shot. But we have bricks for shoes. So you can't run down the floor as fast as we would like you to. And those are the things. Like, so I lived at home until like I was like 28 before I left, but I left in good condition, right? So by the time I'd been working, but I was working full time, going to school full time, and I managed and did projects on the side. So I was always on the go. Nothing has changed. The only difference is like whether you're living by yourself or living at home. And I always been close to my family and my parents, but that also shifted a lot of the cost. Why am I paying somebody else when we have a house, right? Put your kids on the second floor of that 3-family. Make a room in the basement so they don't have to spend the extra money for room and board at the colleges and university. What are the conversations that are happening? Because we can mitigate that, right? You know, if we're trying to set up that young man for success, what are the things that we can play the part so he can focus on being the greatest thing that this family has ever seen? And unfortunately, I think that a lot of people are trying to sever from each other and grow this kind of independent. You could do it all by yourself. You will never win compared to people who have a tribe, who have a system, who are there for one another, who are put in there, good times, bad times, etc. And I had a lot of tough times, but I had a system, right? And that's why I thrived, and I'm doing well today because of that. And mind you, I'm a first generational child. I was born on the islands, so my parents' highest level of education completed is the 10th grade. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
My parents' highest level of education completed is the 10th grade, but yet we had cars, we had houses, right? There was a certain work ethic and a certain sort of communal building or living arrangement that allowed us to do that. And I think that if more people adopted that kind of way of thinking, I think we will set up our younger people for much greater success, less debt and burden, and allow them to walk into their greatness. Are you?
All right. Got a question for a couple of the women. Are men embarrassed to admit they need our income? Ash? Are men embarrassed to admit that they need a woman's income? Ash, Aisha, both of y'all on mute. Can y'all hear? Hello?
I don't think that they're embarrassed. I think that they right on code. These new men, like they ready to tell you how much do you have, because I need some help around here. You know, every man that I've met, they'll tell me ain't nothing free. Like if you're sitting at home, what are you gonna be doing? So they definitely looking and are not ashamed to say that they need that additional income.
All right. What about you, Ash?
I say yeah, they are. I don't necessarily think that men come out and just would say, "Hey, I'm going through financial struggles." I think that has a lot to do with the ego and the pressure that the world places on men, that they have to come like be financially stable, they have to make a certain amount, and that they it's frowned upon to kind of like ask your woman for money. I do hear a lot of men saying like when they do that, like bring it up to their women or women in general, it kind
Dang.
of bias a little bit.
Hey man, that smoke detector's calling you right now. You need to answer.
What about you, Callie? Same question. Are men embarrassed to admit they need her income?
I don't think it's more. Yeah, I would say that it would be embarrassment. Because men are looked at as like, they got to get it all together. And to ask help, especially from a woman, they don't want to do that. They want to go ahead and provide. They want to go ahead and be on this. I got it. I can do this. I can do this by myself. I got this. I got this. So to answer your question in short form, yes. But I will add to that it is not. There is nothing wrong with turning to your partner and say, "Hey, baby, like I'm gonna need a little bit of help today." You know what I mean? Actually, I feel like it brings you more closer together in doing so.
So here's a question, because obviously we're much older, seasoned individuals. For our young people who are coming out of high school and either going into the armed forces or trade school or college or even trying to start their own business once they got out of high school, there's a little bit of time that goes by in terms of maturity growth, in terms of learning, in terms of life experience, in a slew of other things. I think it takes time for them to kind of build up to that mentality, to kind of be in a sort of financial parse situation, or even start earning the type of money to be in a position where they can cover a majority of the bills. Right. I don't think a lot of young people coming out of these different institutions or just coming out of high school are in a position. I don't even think a lot of them even have the necessary life skills. Let's start right there to, to succeed like that. I mean, I think a lot of them are figuring it out as they go.
All right. What about you, Miss Britt? Are men embarrassed to admit that they need our income?
Yeah, I agree. I think they have a lot of pride and ego because of the pressure that society, I think Callie said it, because of the pressure of society to be that person providing everything. And men really don't have that opportunity to be vulnerable. It's always like toughen up, take care of it, handle it. So I think when it comes down to that, their pride and their ego and just life in general from their upbringing teaches them to just carry the weight and not ask for help and not cry and not express, weakness.
Okay. Does her money become the elephant in the room? Does her money become the elephant in the room? You guys know what the elephant in the room means?
Yeah, like that black sheet kind of deal where it's like, oh, you're making all this money, et cetera, et cetera. Is that what you're talking about?
The elephant in the room is it's a metaphor, like important, a controversial issue, issue that people are avoiding discussing or acknowledging.
I don't think for most men, no. I mean, you definitely have that minority of men that might feel some type of way. That's with anything. But for most men, I don't think they're going to be like, oh, she makes more than me. Oh, God, damn. You know what I mean? Like, I think if anything, they'll be like, okay, great. Like, she's doing great. Like, most men would look at it and be like, okay, cool. Now she's going up. Now what can I do to help contribute or whatever the case may be? But I don't think they're hating on their spouse for making more than them. I don't believe that, especially because if you love them. So if anything, it might motivate them to want to up their game or whatever the case may be. But that's about it.
Okay. Hank, if your woman makes six figures, are you expected to match it or just not complain?
Nah, I don't expect to match nothing when we do one pot. See, all of this conversation would be a problem if y'all adopt that mentality. But unfortunately, you got a lot of selfish people who's not willing to adopt that mentality. It's more beneficial if we work together than apart. A fist is way stronger than an open hand. But you can't tell our people that. They don't believe that. They believe in being overly independent. And so, good luck with that, ladies and gentlemen. If that's how you want to move and operate, good luck with that situation. We'll see how that goes for you. I adopted the method of one pot a long time ago. I presented it to my wife, and yes, money is not the elephant in the room for me because I need to know your credit score. I need to know what I'm investing into, what I'm about to get into, what debt am I going to be collecting when I bless you with my last name. So those conversations need to be had. That's some of our problems in marriages and relationships. Now, if we're just dating and you're my girlfriend, I'm not going to take care of shit for you. I'm not buying you nothing unless I want to. Don't try to guilt me into buying shit because I won't do it. Now, if I feel the need to, if I choose to, or if I feel like you're worthy enough to get a gift from me, then I will bless you with one. But I'm not obligated to get your hair done. I'm not obligated to get your nails done. I'm not obligated to take you out to dinner. Now, once you become my wife, I'm obligated to every and all things. You'll be well taken care of. You don't have to want for nothing. But until that day I bless you, you need to show me that you can take care of yourself.
All right, mic drop. This one's for Aisha and Ash. Kind of similar. Go ahead, Amir.
I just want to mention something. Hank, a word of I want to ask you, can you go back and just rewind the show 1 minute so you can hear yourself, so then you can hear what it sounds like, so then you know what's going on? Are you able to do that? Like rewind it 1 minute?
No, not really.
Yeah, she was just talking about the sound. I know he's mobile right now, so it's probably the best we're gonna be able to get as far as the sound. I don't know if you have any other headphones or earpiece, or you got on AirPods. No, you got an Android. You got on AirPods. Some people got.
No, I got some whatever the Android buds are. I can take them out if that'll work better.
Yeah, either take them out, either turn the noise cancellation off. I'm not sure what modes they have, but sometimes they have different modes, and it may be filtering your voice a little bit.
Okay.
So we'll catch it on the next round. Ash and Aisha, a woman's money matters more today because too many households can't survive on a man's income alone. How are you feeling about that? A woman's money matters more today because too many households can't survive on a man's income alone.
I think that that's kind of an excuse. I think that although it sounds very good, but just from a marriage standpoint, when a man asks you to be his wife, I just feel like as a woman, you're supposed to, whatever he can afford to get you, that's supposed to be enough. And that's supposed to be enough for him. So if he has a house that's $200,000 a year and that's his house, that's supposed to be enough. You're not supposed to then go out and get a $500,000 house because you have an income. I think that money, just like I think Hank said, it goes into the pot. I think we're trying to have a relationship, but we're thinking as individualists. And I feel like if we're thinking it at the beginning from a family standpoint, that money is just one pot. Whatever that husband has when you get him, whatever that house is, whatever that's y'all's. That's what y'all got. And you're supposed to live comfortably under that. And he's supposed to live comfortably under that. He's supposed to create that lifestyle that's comfortable, whether you bringing a family in or not. I don't think that a woman is supposed to incur all of these expenses that are supposed to be so huge. You know what I'm saying? That you even need that. Whatever she brings, it's an addition. It's an addition to whatever that man has already sustained. So I just look at everything from a whole different standpoint, because I do think that the money should go into one pot. That's it. That's all. It shouldn't be no his money, her money, how much she bring. It's one. We together now. She got 60,000. I got 100K. We now 160. Period. What can we afford under this umbrella together that we're comfortable with? That's just how I look at it.
Period.
I don't think that a man should be like, oh, I'm marrying this lady because she's finna add. It's just all one pot. It's all one pot.
So, Aisha, let me ask you a question to further qualify that. We've done a round robin of all the men and their responsibilities and the things that they're doing in order to provide, how they to provide, and the mindset behind it. But are women really shown or taught or had conversations about having the type of mindset or thinking that you just provided right now? What percentage of women are thinking the way that you're thinking right now?
I think the percentage of women that think the way I think are women that actually want to be married and in successful relationships.
That part.
And that percentage, to me personally, is small. Like, I feel like women say that they want to be in successful relationships, but they don't. They don't want to be in marriages. They want to have a partnership, right? You want a roommate. You know what I'm saying? If I'm looking for somebody to pay my bills, I'm going to go get a roommate. I'm not going to get a husband for that. And I feel like people keep conflating the two because they watching social media and they see these power couples. And so they envision their life around these power couples. We can be a power couple. We can get together and do all of these things, but it's like, that's really not real.
That's bullshit.
That's not even really a real thing to me. So I feel like those are two individuals. So that's a partnership. A marriage can have a partnership quality, but that's not the foundation of it. The foundation of a marriage is to have a family. It's not a business. And a lot of society looks at it that way, and that's what we fall short. And that makes people happy. It makes people happy to feel that way, to think that way, right? It makes women feel empowered to, you know what I'm saying, be able to be like, I'm 6 figures. Great. Now I'm a better woman. And I don't base the quality of who I am on that, on my degree on the wall. That's not the quality of a woman. That's not how I base myself. So I don't want to choose a man that's valuing those things either. That's just where I stand.
All right. Just so we know, y'all, make sure we not saying anybody has. Y'all can police yourselves. Make sure we try to keep it a minute and 50 seconds so we can keep it rotating on the responses. Even though it's great valuable information, I just don't want people to time out. Bring my brother Hing back up here. Same question for you I had asked, because I know you missed the beginning. I'm just trying to get your thoughts on it. A woman's money matters more today because too many households can't survive on a man's income alone.
Well, you already kind of know I'm a big advocate for women working and bringing her own income to the tables. I kind of agree with Aisha, so it's not really much for me to say. I do think that 2 incomes are better when it's conjoined. You guys have, you guys have the bigger budget, but I also feel like you guys should have a budget. Just because you have access to $300,000 doesn't mean you should go and get a $100,000 house. So I think that it's good to kind of have 2 incomes, bring that together, have a budget, have a savings, and you guys, combine that as one versus just like, oh, this is my money, this is what I brought here, So So I agree. Ain't really much for me to say besides that.
Okay. If she's used to flying first class and you're on Spirit, can that relationship work long term?
Depends on the person. I mean, like if she's just because you might be used to something doesn't mean that you're not open to like.
Because hell no, that's not gonna work, Callie. That's not gonna
No, because it's like
it only happens in movies, like not
how,
in real life.
how could you be like, oh, because you don't make enough money than me, we're not gonna work out? Most of the people that are dead, I've seen it happen face to face. Like people won't have that much money today, but give them 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 years. They're probably gonna surpass you within that time frame, maybe 10 years. What you make today does not define who you will be tomorrow. It is what you are doing today to get to where you want to be, which is going to define you as a person. And I think that that's what we miss is we think that, oh, you're broke today, so I can't mess with you. I need to be with someone that's up. But watch that. You don't know what that person's doing. You don't know what they're investing in. You don't know what their goals are. And you don't know where they're at within that goal. Because all it takes is for them to lock the fuck in, get them shits together, stay consistent, no matter what. Motivation drains out. But are you consistent? And watch, within 5 years to 10 years, you will see that they probably surpassed you 10 times over just because you decline them. And I've seen it happen with my friends. I've seen it happen with my family. People, once a man locks into what he wants to become, there is no stopping him. So fuck that. Like it's where's your head at? Because if you got goals, if you got dreams and you got something you want to be, hell yeah, like I'm down for that. Like let's go. Like that's my mentality. My bad. I got passionate.
Perfect. I
think
see. Callie wants a hink in her life. That's what she needs. Callie needs a hink in her life. Unfortunately, it's only one. So, as far as me, yeah, I think it can work. Look, I took my wife out to go on girls' trips. You know, what I mean? No more girls. We ain't doing it. That's some bullshit. I convinced my wife into one thing. She wasn't used to that. I had to present that to her. But you got to present your plan to her. And if you that type of guy, that type of individual, then she'll rock with you. And if you're not, she's gonna walk on you like a damn welcome mat. But go ahead. I think Ash was about to speak.
That can happen, but I don't think that's the majority of women out here. I feel like most of the women, if they are already high earning type of women, honestly, they most of the time they kind of wear their how much they make on their sleeves, right? That's a badge of honor to them. And it's just like if they are meeting a man and you know they already kind of have a high standard as far as like maintenance, and then that man tries to come with be with them and he can't keep up, that's going to cause some friction right there. It's just kind of like, okay, you already knew I was this type of woman when you got with me. Why are you trying to pursue me if you can't keep up? Like I'm already in first class, and then I'm not saying this is me, but I'm just saying from what I see, this is just the reality of women.
Oh,
right?
really?
If she's already in first class and it's just kind of like you're in spirit, and then you expect her to get on a Spirit airplane, she's like, bro, this is not my lifestyle. And I think a lot of times what men will do, right? They will pursue women that they know are outside of their financial standards, right? They will choose women that seems like they got on the Gucci, the Louis, the Fendi, they all of these things, they cannot provide that for them. And then they try to get with her and expect her to change. And that's not the reality of it. I think men should pursue women on who may be a little bit more level-headed when it comes to those type of things, but it's not gonna work.
I mean, go ahead, True. You haven't gone.
I wanted Ash to explain what type of woman that was just briefly, and then I'll try to combine, because I hear that. So I want to know from a woman, when you say that type of woman, you said she's used to flying first class. So what type of woman? Like, what do you mean by that?
So when I said that, I said like this type of woman that would not be okay with kind of lowering her standards is, I want to say, the woman who kind of had like the I guess you can say she calls herself the alpha female type of, the high, like the degree, like, I got my master's, I got this. She kind of used that to be like, okay, this is why me and she want me. But Aisha kind of spoke on that. It's just kind of like your master isn't what makes a man want you. Not even you having money unless he's a gigolo. So it's just like a lot of times those type of women will not lower their standards a little bit to kind of get a good man because they feel like they need a man that matches them.
Okay, thank you for answering that. So to answer the question that JR posed, yes, it absolutely can work. I think the issue with this whole divide is that this is a new phenomenon. First of all, women working at this capacity in society is new. When I say new, I'm talking about human history. So at the same time, we never ask when the man is up and he has a standard. If we reverse it, he's first class, she's spirit. There's no hesitation, there's no issue. She work at Wiener Schnitzel, he's working at Fortune 500. There's no issue, right? I've yet to meet a woman whose earning potential made her vagina feel better. I've yet to meet them. And that's what I don't see. I don't see how you're a different type of woman because you choose to fly different or drive different or wear different. It could absolutely work. The issue becomes that, to Ash's point, I believe, we have a society of women who believe that because they're now affording themselves experiences, that somehow, some way, they're a different type of woman, that their vagina's different, that their overall exchange of dealing with them is different. And I'm here to tell you, I'm pretty sure men on this panel could, confirm it ain't no different. You make more money, that's cute. You may have the better weave. If you into that, that's cute. But your vagina feels the same, whether you fly first class or you catch the Greyhound. It's an issue. Yeah, it can absolutely work, JR.
Yeah, because they're like older women. I see it all the time. I used to be a personal banker. They would come in here. Older women would have a younger man. She would pay for his flights. They would go out on trips. They just want that company. They want that. You know what I mean? There's so many older women that will take care of a man and have no problem with it because they know they're good. Like there's a lot of women that I actually know personally that make more than their husband and take care of their husband. And he's down or whatever, and then he gets back up and then he takes care of vice versa. So I think we get so stuck on like what we see about these women that come and they, oh, it's all about me. Or if you're not rocking Gucci Louis, like I'm not going to F with you. That's very minority thinking. Most women don't think like that. Like most women, they don't think like, oh, because I'm rocking this, you can't like, they'll probably even pay for your flight to come hang out with them just for the company because it feels, you know what I mean? And let's be honest, the bedroom is probably good enough for them to be like, I don't care about your pockets because I'm already up. So we can't, so I see it all the time, all the freaking time, and just like the same way with some women will stay with really bad relationship just because the bedroom is good. So it's like, I don't believe that majority of women do that. I believe minority might do that, but not majority.
Yeah, I mean, one thing. Look, I understand the spirit example. I love it though; it's kind of funny. But why do people love paying full price for things that they don't have to pay full price for? I don't understand that. Why is it a flex to say that I paid full price for that full first class seat and it was $5,000, and somebody sitting next to him was like, "Oh, that's cute. I only paid $850. I only paid $750." Why is it a flex to pay more? There are so many avenues and so many ways to go about traveling. Somebody got a hot mic. There's so many ways of traveling and so many avenues and different options, especially when you have frequent flyer miles, when you have a certain type of airline card, etc. Why not have a conversation like, look, I think we both love traveling. We both enjoy this. I think we should get this type of card to benefit from all the points, et cetera, et cetera. I think there's a greater conversation to be had as opposed to, I'm not flying Spirit. I only want to fly American, Delta, whatever the case may be. Why do people pride themselves on paying full price for something that they don't need to pay full price on, right? I think it's too great of an ego thing to say that I got it, as opposed to saying we got this. And we got it for cheap, and we're gonna go where we want to. I just think that the mindset behind it, the way it was presented to me, I was like, are we really hung up on what airline we're gonna fly out of? Like,
it's a consumer mindset. It's a consumer mindset, the need to consume. And then a lot of times it's, yes, Tony, it's clout. It's I bought this for X amount, so that makes me more, that's more of a flex for me because this is how much I went for, versus, hey, look, I got to the Philippines and, like, you know, this amount of money, like I'm chilling. So go ahead, Ash.
Yeah, we're gonna go to Ash and then
I kind of
Amir,
agree.
and then I got a question for Brittany.
I kind of agree and disagree with y'all. Like when it comes to like me flying and stuff like that, I'm not gonna do first class. You know, I don't gotta like that yet. But I'm very cautious about the airline that I'm flying on. That's one of like something that I kind of fear. I want to make sure I get to my destination and home safely. So maybe I'll spend like $405 on a flight on a airline that I'm comfortable with, you know. But you know, I'm gonna still look for, you know, like a decent price. But I flew Spirit one time and I would never do it again. You know, no disrespect, but I just don't like it. It's just I just felt very like afraid. So I don't think it's necessarily like, oh, it's just being a consumer. We're consumers of almost everything. I think that just those type of things, just the same way when you're shopping for a car and you have a family, I'm pretty sure you want a car that's going to that's not going to break down. That make sure, you know, the engine and all of those type of things doesn't have recall. So I don't think that is being a consumer. It's just making sure that you're safe and that you can make it home safe and to your destination safe.
Hey, Ash, just so you know, I used to do federal inspections, right? On trains, and it all comes to that department, the people that are doing the inspections, because it's a lot of stuff that slide that have a little bit of like leeway, and I'm pretty sure it happens on airlines as well. It's different when you're inspecting passenger cars versus freight because you're carrying people, but depending on the people, you know, people get the job done or they do the bare minimum. So um, I say that all to say is that you can very well be paying for United or American and still have those same issues that you would have for Spirit. Like I believe that them pilots are paid similar. So they don't really care if they're flying a Spirit plane or an Amazon plane, because the fact that you're a pilot, you're gonna get paid regardless.
And
And
I'll
it's
have you all know.
yeah, and it's probably like a low. It's probably not that many pilots, so they have job security. So I wouldn't be so hung up on the name. Now, if you talk about comfort, I can see that, but when you talk about safety, I want to believe that they make sure, especially got things going up in the air. But being behind the scenes, I've seen some things that slide or was overlooked because the person didn't feel like doing it.
JR, uh, I hope you all know that the people who build all these planes is Boeing. Boeing builds all these planes, whether it's United, American, Spirit, they all come from the same factory, the same manufacturer, the same all spec FAA required parts. All of them are done by Boeing. This is not BMW, this is not Ford, and this is not Kia. It's all one company, one broad. Now, the thing that separates all these is their maintenance policy and procedures. I prefer this airline because they pay extra attention to safety, maintenance, and procedures, not anything else. Or maybe this airline has better comfort seats that are a little bit wider. I prefer it for these reasons. But these are not separate entities. These are all built under one umbrella. They just have a different marketing package to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand that. What I'm saying is the comfortability, it's the staff, it's all of that. Like that all plays a big major thing on your mental. Just to kind of sit and be somewhere comfortable on a plane in the air, that kind of can relax me and make me feel a little bit more secure versus me sitting in an uncomfortable chair feeling turbulence and stuff like that. Like, no, that's not good for my mental state. You know, so it's a difference. That's all I'm saying.
Well, shout out to Money Making Ash. Go ahead, Amir, and then I'll go ahead and ask Brittany this question. Then you want to respond to some Luis was saying.
I haven't spoken in a while, but I wanted to answer your question that you asked to Aisha, Hink, and Kelly, because you were talking about I forget what the question was, but the answers were talking about putting all the money into one bucket and so on. I think Hink was the one who brought it up first, and Aisha shared his sentiments. And I share the same thing. And when they say it, it sounds so easy and so good to do, but in practice, it's very hard. And it's something that I've seen that a lot of women don't want to do, because saying, oh, all our money together is good, but living it is living under what the man can provide. And a lot of women don't want to live under what a man can provide, but rather they want to live under, they want to be able to have bragging rights. When you were talking about spirit versus first class, I thought about something funny, because in our families, we like to brag about how much we were able to get for cheap. Instead of saying like we flew first class or something, we like to brag that we flew for free, or we flew for a very small price, almost close to nothing, and we got the best. We don't, about the bragging and the money. It's seen differently. We like to brag about all the money we were able to save. The other thing was, in Arabic we have a saying. The saying is rahis wagawi. Rahis wagawi means cheap and strong. Cheap and strong. So my father, when we used to go shopping, we would go to like stores, like some department stores. We'd go to Burlington or something like that. I like Ross. I love Ross. It was my favorite store as a kid. And my baba would say, like, you don't want something more, expensive? And I always say no. And he said, Amira, you're the type of girl who's rahis wagawi, which is strong and cheap. But anyway, but strong and cheap is the same thing when it applies to life and living together in a family. When we were talking about men providing a woman's lifestyle, a lot of women today feel that the lifestyle comes with an iPhone. The lifestyle comes with a car that is something to brag about. The lifestyle comes with a closet full of heels and shoes and so on. The lifestyle comes with all of the extra luxuries. But if their man is not able to provide all those luxuries, then they are displeased, unhappy, ungrateful, and upset. And a lot of times they refuse to do their wifely duties because they feel like their man isn't doing his husbandly duties because he's not providing her a luxury lifestyle.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who was that saying something? Let me ask Brittany this question real quick. Would you downgrade your lifestyle for love?
I would.
That's a loaded question. I think at the end of the day, if I met someone that I share a vision with, someone who I believe I can elevate with, and vice versa, I would make sacrifices. But it has to be worth it. It has to be a bigger purpose behind it.
So that's a no.
No, that's not a no. If it was a no, I would say no. Again,
I heard
what I just said. Let me say it more slowly.
Hold on, y'all. Let her get it off.
I think marriage and relationship should be about a shared vision. It should be about each partner should help elevate, you know what I mean? Like stabilize, elevate, like add value. So if I meet someone and their lifestyle is not necessarily aligned with my lifestyle, they are living a different lifestyle that's, I guess, lower than my lifestyle per what you just said, Lapeef, I would be willing to make a sacrifice if I felt like that person and me together could elevate, you know what I mean? Or if we share a vision, I would definitely make a sacrifice. But I'm not going to lower my lifestyle for the sake of just trying to make someone else feel comfortable. It has to be a bigger vision or picture there. You know what I mean?
I don't even have much of a lifestyle anyway. I sit on a computer and stream all day. So, at the end of the day, for me, we could just go ahead and, hey, baby, I only have $20. Okay, we'll put that $20 in savings account. Let's, what can we do today? Like, for me, I don't need that lavish shit. Like at the end of the day, what? I want to get my nails done and then I got to redo them 2 weeks later, or I got to get my hair done and pay like $1,000 for this hair, and then 6 months later I got to pay another $1,000. Like what? Like no, like.
And I think for me, because I'm 39, almost 40, the way I approach life is a little different. Maybe in my 20s or early 30s, I was a lot more just like laid back. I didn't think about vision, shared values. I mean, I was married at a young age. I did not think about that marriage based on a bigger vision or elevation or anything. It was like, oh, I like him, we vibe, we get along well. You know what I mean? It wasn't strategic. It wasn't a plan. It wasn't connected to a bigger purpose. So I think for me at this stage of my life, I would definitely make adjustments if it was worth it. You know what I mean? If it was, like I said, a shared vision or an opportunity for us to both elevate our lives, you know?
So Brittany, when he asked you that question, I knew what your answer was going to be.
Y'all assumed. Y'all made an assumption.
No. Brittany, come on.
Go ahead. I'm ready for that tonight. Let's go, Hank. We haven't done this in a minute. Let's go.
My buddy Brittany, she missed me. Welcome back, Britt. The thing about it is, most women wouldn't be willing to sacrifice. So I'm not surprised by Miss Brittany's answer at all. So let me ask you this, Britt. What if that man was going to bless you with his last name? Would you be willing to make it that sacrifice?
You say that one more time. If he was willing to bless me with his last name?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. I think that's what we were saying. Like, well, we didn't talk about marriage, but again, it really doesn't have anything to do with just the title of marriage. It's, are we better together? Will we be better together versus apart? Regardless of it being a legal union or not. I mean, I like the idea of being married again, but I don't have to legally have somebody else's last name again in order for me to make sacrifices at this stage in life. Is that what you're asking me? Like, would I be willing to make the sacrifice only if he marries me?
I'm just trying to figure out what would be the thing you would do in order to make the sacrifice. Because it sounds like to me you wouldn't be willing to make the sacrifice at all. You know, I don't think so. Not even with a marriage. Just your answer right there, because you said it's a priority for you. So I'm just trying to figure out what it is.
So, okay, I'll give a practical example. Let's just say I meet someone and we don't necessarily have to have the same hobby or talents, but maybe we share a vision. Maybe we're going down the same path in terms of what we want in the future. You know, maybe we run similar businesses, or or maybe he does have a set of skills that can elevate a goal or something that I'm trying to achieve, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are examples of like things that I look at this stage in my life. Like, how can we elevate each other? How can we add value? If there is no alignment in any of those areas of my life, then it's just what am I going to make that sacrifice for? It has to be worth it. If I'm going to sacrifice and lower my lifestyle, if we say we're going to be together, we're about to move in together and do all these things together, and now we need to make sacrifices. I know you're living over here in this 5-bedroom house, but you know, whatever. Even though I bought my house well below market value years ago, I'm just saying, if I were to lower my lifestyle in any way, I would need it to be worth it. It has to be connected to a bigger purpose. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm not just going to lower my lifestyle because he's like, I can't afford this. You know what I'm saying? But I want to be with you. It's like, no, if we're going to make sacrifices, if I'm going to make a sacrifice, it needs to be worth it, you know? And just giving me your last name and just giving me your last name will not make it worth it. Like,
I don't know. I feel like when you're in love, you're gonna want to elevate. Like, that should already be like a thing. Like, when I'm in love, that's my value. Like, mind you, love in itself is gonna take sacrifice. So if they really love you, they're going to want to, of course, do more than just the bare minimum to be with you. So that should already come with the love in general. The downgrading is just living within means, so you guys have room to elevate. Because if someone is lacking in one area and the other one is benefiting, then that's when we come together and benefit together. And it might take one to kind of lower down a little bit, but it shouldn't be too extravagant, because that person in itself is going to want to come up with you. So in a sense, you guys would come up together. I don't know. That's kind of hard.
I hear you, but I will respectfully disagree. I feel like love is not enough. You have to be with someone who has ambition and vision. So that's why, to me, because I've been with someone who loved me and I've loved them. And I'm not saying my situation is everyone's situation, but I think it takes more than just love. Like, you have to have the right type of connection, some type of shared value, vision, some type of goal to help elevate. You know what I mean? Love me loving you is not enough, and you loving me is not enough. Like, what is the bigger picture here in order for me to make sacrifices?
So
I'm not sacrificing just because you tell me you love me, or you know what I'm saying? We get those fuzzy feelings. I need it to be something bigger, a part of that formula in order for me to sacrifice. That's just me personally, though.
go ahead, Mara.
Mira, but I think this is why so many people and so many cultures marry in their own class, because of these issues here of women not wanting to sacrifice, women not wanting to go down in lifestyle. I always wonder why we have to marry in our class. Why is this class system important? And I think this is one of the reasons why women do not, just like Brittany says, and I think, Brittany, I think you're thinking like in a dating sense only, but I think the question was talking about you in a marriage. No, JR.
No, when Lapeef or JR, when he originally asked it, he just said, what would it take for me to lower my lifestyle? He didn't say in a marriage. He brought up the marriage portion of it.
So what did you mean, JR? Do you mean like in dating? So like, would you date someone and lower your lifestyle for dating?
Well, it's
I think I'm confused with that question too, because I don't know how you would. What do you
I
mean?
mean, just think of something.
Lower
I
your
mean, just think
lifestyle.
of something like serious leading to marriage. I mean, something that's there. I'm not talking about somebody that you just dating. I'm talking about you guys rocking out and y'all about to rock out for a lifetime.
See, I think, respectfully to everyone on the panel, right? If we're talking about our community, why not isolate or alienate anyone? Most class, from what Amir said, most of us are in the same class. If you're talking about our community, I think what we're trying to create is a separation amongst earning potential, maybe collegiate achievement, job titles, and status, which, if you're talking about our community, most of us are in the same class. That's why it's very murky. I appreciate what Brittany said. I really do. So thank you for that. When does the man become the lifestyle? When does the man become important enough to where you're not looking at the shift or the sacrifice and then using words like a downgrade?
Well, true. I think you have to understand this as well, is that because Callie, the age difference between you and Brittany, there's a gap. And so you may be a little bit more optimistic, but people that have gone through hurt, through trauma, there's a fear element that's put into play there. And so they're like less likely to want to repeat something that failed. And so their guard is up. And if they've been single for a while and they've been making XYZ amount of dollars, then you're going to have to, there's have to be a level of trust there in order for them to put that guard down.
But if you're married, that trust should have already been established. All of that, because you're talking. That's what I was thinking. Is like, if you're married, we already went through this. We dated, and I know where your mind's. I'm not going to marry you if you just want to sit on the couch all day and just live off of whatever paychecks coming in from EBT. No, like you have to have some type of mentality, because at the end of the day, if all else fails and something happens to me and we have kids, then it's going to be up to you to take care of that. But by the time we're married, if we fall on tough times or something happens and I need to step up the plate, baby, I don't mind stepping up that plate. Or if we're getting married and we know what the goal is and the objective is and we're going to do it, we're going to freaking do it. Like, my man I've been in relationships where a man had heck of money. That still didn't work. So it just depends on the person. It depends on who you're dating.
But Callie, what if she already did that in her first marriage and now she's she's learned from
Well,
it, and now she
let me back up. We're talking. Well, before we go down that rabbit hole, that wasn't the question. The question wasn't would I sacrifice for my husband in a marriage if he fell on hard times or whatever, would I shift my lifestyle? That wasn't the question. That's a totally different answer. Because yes, to your point, Callie, if I decide to marry someone now in this wise state of being, I would marry someone who I wouldn't mind, stepping up to the plate for and being a partner to. I think Lapeef's question was just, would I be willing to would I be willing to lower my lifestyle? It wasn't specified, like if I was married or not. I think it was just in general. In a marriage, for sure, I agree. If you marry someone, you're already in a partnership. You've already made that decision and decided that you're going to rock with that person, you know what I'm saying, through good and bad times.
What's considered, sorry,
sure,
guys,
yeah.
I'm
If
new
I was
too.
married again.
Go ahead, Brittany.
Oh, I might have a delay. Do I have a delay?
Probably. I don't know. It sounded like you kind of like stopped talking. You said if I was married again.
Yeah, I think I have a delay, so I'll wrap it up. But long story short, yes, to your point, if that question was rephrased to, would you be willing to lower your lifestyle if your husband fell on hard times or something like that? Yeah, that's different.
Can I ask a question? Because I brought up a scenario, and we talked about this a while back on King Talk. I brought up a scenario, and I actually ran this by a bunch of women on Clubhouse too. So, man is married to woman. They have a child. They have a 5-bedroom house, right? Man owns a business, whatever. They've been doing well, parsed through these years. The business does rough the next 2 years. And the guy told the wife, we need to downsize our house. We need to downsize our house from a 5-bedroom to a 3-bedroom. You know what I'm saying? For us to, take the money out of the equity of this home and downsize so we could weather the storm, because right now business is not well. The economic situation isn't good. I asked that question to a lot of women, and a lot of women said they're not downsizing their house. And it kind of made me wonder. You are there like downgrading your lifestyle. You went from 5-bedroom house to a 3-bedroom. Much smaller property, much smaller lot, but it's something that is manageable and still doable, right? You are there for sacrificing, and you are there for downsizing or downgrading, but you're still maintaining a sustainable life. The economic situation is no longer where it was anymore. We've downsized, right? And sort of when I had asked that question, this was like almost 2 years ago, and I remember it like it was yesterday. A lot of people gave me pushback. And I'm curious to understand, what is your perspective on that take? All the ladies.
I think most people overspend anyways. You know what I mean? You spend a whole year living in a studio apartment, like you said earlier, right? Just getting food and doing what you need to do for a whole year. Watch how much money you have next year. I think that, especially if you have a greater goal in mind, you want to make something more in mind, you want to have a little bit more money in mind. Me, I have big goals. I have big dreams. So it requires me to live a certain way so I can accomplish that and have more money to invest in what I need to do. And I think that when you have a mindset like that, you will go farther along. And like Amira said, she said something in Arabic, which I can't repeat because I don't speak Arabic, but it comes with just understanding that life isn't all about a 6-bedroom house and 5-car garage and 10 Teslas. It's about what is it you're trying to do in your life and how are you going to get there, and what is it going to take for you to get there? Because at the end of the day, there are people that win the lottery and make $1 million, and then by the end of the year, that million's gone and they're back on the street. So it's really about just understanding the value of the dollar, how to utilize the value of the dollar, and that what you make today, you have 2 choices. You can double it tomorrow, or you can let it go. It'll lose because the value of the dollar goes down every day. So that's how I feel.
All right, any other ladies want to answer Luis's question?
Yeah. So I got a question, and I'm gonna answer that as well. My whole thing is right. Hear me, or is it like breaking up?
Keep talking for a second. It was breaking up, but I think it might be settling.
Could y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So my whole thing is, Louis, this is kind of like as a man, right? It's just like, why would you move into a 5-bedroom house in the first place, and then like and not kind of plan ahead just in case. I don't know. So it's just kind of like to put your family or your wife in that type of position from the first, like from jump, is just kind of crazy to me. Like
I mean,
I don't. No, let me say something true because you always got something to say when it's. I just feel like as a man, you just need to make a better from the jump, make a better decision instead of doing that, and then it's just kind of like you guys, especially if you're an entrepreneur. I don't feel like you should kind of jump into something like that when you're an entrepreneur because your finances kind of like go up and down, so it's not something that's set in stone with that. So it's just kind of like get a 2 or 3 bedroom house from the jump, and then if you feel like you are making enough money where you're stable and it's kind of like been the same way for a couple years, then maybe upgrade. But I don't know why people upgrade and then downgrade later on and then expect their wives to be okay with downgrading when you kind of um make her, put her in a place where she becomes used to that type of lifestyle. That's not going to be easy for anybody. I don't I don't know. I'm just being realistic. Like even you as a man, right? And you're speaking like, oh yeah, we're just gonna downgrade to a you're not gonna that's not just an easy decision for you to make. I don't think people are just being honest about their answers and really understanding how that feels and the type of mental state that you can put your family in, not just your wife, but your children, all of those things. So my whole thing is just kind of like from the rip, why wouldn't you think as a man just to be like, you know what? Let me make a wiser decision to maybe get something smaller and then work our way up just in case to be on the safe side.
Ash, Ash, let me say this real quick, just 2 seconds. Ash, do you know that last year was the highest year in car repossession ever? You know how many people's vehicles, RVs, etc., trucks were repossessed? Men and women at a higher rate. So you talk about, won't you think ahead and get something that's affordable and stuff like that. You got to excuse me. Most people are making emotional purchases, whether they're buying a house, whether they're buying a vehicle, whether they're buying whatever the case may be. Most people are emotionally purchasing. And yes, that does make sense. And I do agree with you, but life changes. We have to adjust all the time. This is why we have bankruptcy. People restructure to align their books and downsize and get rid of things in order to make their business flow.
Yeah, she
Like
not she not hearing that, Luis, but
I know
No,
she's not
I,
hearing that.
I hear
I know
exactly
she's
what
not
you
hearing
I
that,
hear
but
exactly what you're saying, right? I know I hear exactly what you're saying, right? So my husband has a car dealership. So I know exactly what you're saying, right? And in the point of time I used to work at the dealership with him and I would actually see people live beyond their means to try to get a super fancy car, or whatever the case may be, that they're not going to be able to keep the maintenance with. So this is why I had that mindset already. It's just kind of like people, like you said, make emotional purchases just from the thought of, okay, I got this right now, but they don't plan for the future. So this is what I'm saying. Like as a man, right, and you have a family and a woman or wife and children, it's better for you to kind of think realistically. Like shit can happen, right? And one of the things that we used to kind of promote to people is, yeah, this is a nice car, but you need something that you're going to be able to afford just in case that job is going, you got to live on unemployment. So sometimes it's just kind of having that mentality. And I'm not, I'm not sure if a lot of people already think like that, but that's how I think. Like sometimes maybe sometimes people call me overthinking, but I like to plan for the worst just in case some shit happen and I can't afford the shit that I'm used to having. So I'm like, I could afford that, but I'm not gonna do that just in case some shit happen. You get what I'm saying? So it's just
I mean, when you reach a certain threshold,
that mindset. That's what I'm saying.
when you reach a certain threshold, like there were people who were making 5 figures a month, multiple 5 figures a month, to now making a single figure a month, 8,000, 9,000, or whatever. That's a huge difference if I'm making 30,000 a month versus 8 or 9,000 a month. And when you're making that kind of money, you never think that it's going to dry up or slow down. You might even make half of that, but you're still making the 5 figures every single month, right? And life goes through these ebbs and flows. Even if you hedge, right, you have built a certain type of lifestyle, a certain type of niche for yourself. And that sounds wonderful, but unfortunately, people don't understand what is happening in the world. Most people, I'm willing to bet, not maybe this panel might be different, but most people out here don't understand economics. Most people don't understand what's happening with tariffs, how the market is shifting, demand, supply chain demand. They don't understand how the workforce has changed. How much downsizing has happening in companies and corporations. A lot of you don't read that shit. A lot of y'all don't pay attention to that. So yes, there are a lot of brilliant women who do pay attention to the market. Shout out to y'all. But unfortunately, a lot of y'all don't think about that stuff. Life comes at you like this.
I appreciate what Ash said, though. I don't think you heard it. I don't know if Lapeef heard it. I don't know if Louise heard it. What she said, or at least how I digested it, was that we need to maintain a lifestyle at a minimal rate. If we could afford a $30,000 a month lifestyle, we need to never exceed a $10,000 lifestyle. So that way, in the event that life shifts, we don't have to regress and have this disappointment. And I think that if a man is being foolish, gambling away the rent or the mortgage, taps into drugs to do something like that, I could totally understand women being in an uproar. But that's not most people's situation. Most people are living a situation where they're trying to do their absolute best. So shout out to Ash. I appreciate that. The men who are listening, just don't do too much. Just do the minimal. That's what I took from it. So I appreciate that.
But then that hold on. That kind of contradicts that. I got my notes right here. I've been paying attention. That kind of contradicts a lot of the talking point that the brothers brought up at the beginning of the show. You know what I'm saying? With women, wanting a certain type of lifestyle, living a certain type of way, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think as a man, if you're making $30K every single month, month after month, year after year, year after year, you think she's not checking and saying like, hey, babe, we could upgrade a little bit. We could get that Benz. You know what I'm saying? But no, babe, I'm gonna put you in this Kia.
You think she can say what she want, but according to Ash, in economic downfall, potentially, we need to stand firm.
These women are not thinking about no goddamn economic downfall.
Yes, we are. Yes,
no, you are not. Maybe you are.
Especially a woman, especially a woman who loves you. A woman who loves you, a woman who trusts you, and a woman that you married. Right? If she's saying, hey, baby, I want this, and if you being the man that you are, you being masculine in your energy, and she trusts you, and you saying, nah, we're not getting that, that's it. Unless you allow your woman to kind of dictate the decisions that you make, that you make, and your final word is not your final word, then that's the only reason you're going to have that problem. But if you're not in your masculine energy, and if she don't trust you enough to be like, okay, he said I'm going to get a Kia, it's still a car, you get what I'm saying? Then she's gonna run all over you, and she gonna use you for all your money. I'm sorry, but that's exactly how it is.
Period.
Yeah, that sounds cute, man. I'm still staying on my point.
Hold on. Another question for the ladies. Do you still Do you still want a traditional man if you're not living a traditional life?
Can you
Can we
explain
define
what a
traditional?
man
Oh,
is?
me and Ash are like, traditional? What's traditional? What's traditional?
I agree. Can you elaborate?
What's a traditional
Women
life?
do want that. I understand the
I
question.
don't feel like
Okay, go ahead, Amir.
Women do want the traditional man without living a traditional life. The traditional life comes with things that Hink and Aisha are talking about, sacrificing and living under certain means and hard work. And it's not luxurious. The traditional life typically isn't luxurious. There are traditional lifestyles that do come with luxury, but the majority aren't. And most women do want the traditional man with the traditional values because those men tend to take care of the women. Traditional men tend to care for women and believe that they need to follow the traditional gender roles. Women want traditional men, but they don't want to be traditional women, and they don't want to live the traditional lifestyle. But they want that man to still adhere to, oh, you got to respect the woman, open my door when I come, you got to treat me good, and I don't have to pay the rent, and I don't want to have to pay half, and all the traditional things that come with men being men. But they still want to be modern themselves. That's my view.
Anyone else?
So I was just asking what traditional was because I'm gonna be honest with everybody on the panel. I've never really been taught what traditional was because I grew up with my mom, so I didn't really get to see like how how that entails or how that works. But if we're talking traditional as in like traditional life, like what is a traditional life? Just so we can elaborate, so I know.
Traditional life is, when we talk about traditional life, we talk about traditional gender roles where typically a woman keeps herself chaste. Typically she's a virgin or close to it when at marriage. She's knows her place. She lives under the man. She lives at his means. She respects her man. She doesn't think that she's equal. She's hardworking. She's modest. She covers herself. She's not out in the streets. She doesn't have a hoe phase. This is a traditional. These are the traditional values that people believe in women, and the traditional values in men are that men take care of the family. The man is the head of the home. The man doesn't allow his woman to pay half of the rent or the mortgage. The man takes care of everything, and so on and so forth. You understand, right? The man
Yeah,
is
yeah.
respected
I
and so
get
on.
yeah, I get what you're saying now. So I think in terms of today's society, I think most women don't want that because they want to have their freedom and independence. Do I necessarily agree with it? Not really, because you should be able to have that. The right man should be able to make you feel free regardless. But I do feel that most women they have this notion that I need to, I want to have my independence and I want to have this and I want to have that, but I also want my man to kind of cater to me and everything like that. But it's like if he's already providing for you, if he's already doing all those things for you, now you want to add more stress onto him by making him cater and succumb to your every whim. Like at what point do we have that shift, right? So I do feel that majority of today's society, they do kind of want that whole traditional man, but they're not willing to succumb to being a traditional wife.
Hey,
And mhm.
you mentioned something about a man should make you feel free. What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is when you're in love or when you're in a relationship, that relationship and just being around, I don't know if you guys have ever been there, but when you're around that person that just makes you feel good, that makes you feel free just by looking at them and seeing them smile, makes your shitty day better. That's what I mean by free. It's a different type of feeling when you've had a stressful day and your man looks at you and smiles. And you're just like, that in itself makes you happy. That in itself, you're just like, man, at least I got something right today. At least I did something good today out of everything else that I did. And I feel like for me, it's, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm more of an empath, but like when it comes to like my man, the someone that I call my man, his happiness means a lot more to me than all this other bullshit that most women would value. Because if I love him and all of him, and I love to see him happy and at peace.
Hold on, let me take an interruption right quick to get these super chats in, and I'll get you guys' thoughts about it. Harrison Davis, $5 says salute. The Will, what's going on, brother? Also, number 499, 9V battery donation. That beep is hurting my eardrums. That's Simone, what's going on, Miss Dath, with the 1999 exactly? Why does downgrading my lifestyle make you feel better as a man? Does that make you men comfortable coming into a woman's life and tell her to accept less to make you happy? That's Simone again with the 1999 says, why do I have to lower my lifestyle for you to love me? Big Ant 11, $10 says, I wonder why some females who call themselves grown women, when they start talking about relationships, they start talking like someone mentally on a junior high level. That's Simone with the 999 says, y'all the one asking us to lower myself. I'm not going to lower myself. I want to uplift you. Mr. Travolta with the 125 foreign currency. Most women won't lower their lifestyles as cap. Women don't love men. Women love how men make them feel and what men provide for them. You aren't enough. Mr. Travolta again with the $50 foreign currency. Ash, fix the alarm. It's embarrassing. It's been months. And lastly, Das Simone says, I want a choice and I will still cook, clean, and take care of the kids. I want a choice. Don't tell me what to do. I want a choice. Let me decide if I'm going to listen or not.
She didn't say all that, did she? Did you add on all that?
It was, you couldn't see it. It was cryptic, but I saw it on my end. So how did you guys feel about what Ms. Callie said? I've seen some facial expressions. I don't know what that means. So if you guys can express yourself verbally. Sounds like a good deal, right?
Fairy tale.
I just think that I feel like I'm out of the loop in the conversation because I don't view relationships based on who's ambitious. So when Brittany was out here and she's like, oh, you know, I need a man that he's gonna be ambitious and because the truth of the matter is men aren't always ambitious. Everybody goes through phases. So like it's gonna be a phase where he's just chilling. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not always this, you know, black and white picture that we like to portray and create these lists of unrealistic expectations that we have on people. The truth is, Callie, when you find somebody that you really love and you fall in love with that person, you're going to make different sacrifices. And this conversation that we have ain't going to matter when it comes to matters of the heart, right? Because our brain tells us to do a lot of things and our heart tells us something different. And I think that sometimes, yes, it's important, right? It's important to stand on principle because I've been hurt before and I went through this and I got to make sure this happens. But in reality, nothing ever works out that way. And if you've been in a marriage and if you've been in a long-term relationship, you know that it takes commitment and it takes sacrifices on both ends.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting here having a conversation and you're saying, oh, no, I can't be with a man based on how much he makes or what he brings to the table, that's unrealistic.
I never said that.
No, I'm just thinking of.
Oh, I was gonna say, I was like, that never came out of my mouth, girl. You could have $1 to your name. I don't care.
I think that men really care. Like men do not really care. Like if you got 3 PhDs on the way. I literally don't like to talk about myself. I'm being honest. Like most of the things you find out about me, I'm just
really.
Like they be like, oh, you was this. Oh yeah. But I'm not gonna make a big deal out of it because to me, I want them to see more than that. Because my mama always tell me, you're not going to die with any of these things. We got about 40 more years to live our life. And we sitting here worried about finding a man that has ambition. Find out a man that has good moral character. Someone
I got 60, but go ahead. Go ahead.
That you can grow a legacy and y'all can have a family and y'all can keep the family name going and you can create traditions, because that to me is what matters more than all of the stuff that y'all discussed on this panel, because that stuff is easily achieved. And my sister's probably worked at a nursing home for the last 10 years. She's a supervisor. And the number one thing that she noticed is like how people react when they die alone versus when they with somebody. She literally have people that are like astronauts, right? That are dying the fuck alone. They have 10 million investments and they leaving that stuff to nobody. They just donating it, creating grants and foundations. And I think in my mind, I want a legacy. You know, I come from a very strong legacy of people, and I feel like we wasting too much time on the small stuff. And so in this conversation, I just felt like I really didn't have a leg in this fight because my traditions and the values that I stand on, even though I'm a modern woman, are kind of Southern. I'm a Southern belle. It's a little different. Like I'm comfortable with like being barefoot and pregnant. You know what I'm saying? And some women
Yeah.
are. So it's like,
And that's what I said.
And I also have degrees and I also have all these accolades, but it's like I'm very comfortable just being that. So I don't need all this extra stuff to feel like this whole of completion. And you know, my interest in being a man doesn't have anything to do with most of the things that were discussed today. Because me and my man, we ride Spirit. We are getting the $59 flight together. So
That's exactly what I
Hey,
said,
Aisha,
and that's what I meant.
hey, Aisha, I just got a call. Aisha, I
I'm
just got a call from Ali. She said you sound like a pick me.
Oh, baby, you already know Ali said that.
I told her.
She texted you.
Nah, she texted me for real though. But I was thinking about doing a ceremony, man. I might have to have you lead that ceremony, man. We're gonna see if we could get some.
I'm a bit Queen pick me. I'm okay with that. You know?
Yeah, we're gonna see if we can get some
It's
water.
crazy,
Or something like
but
that.
it's
We can
crazy
take
they
and
always
bring all the
call
women.
people that though. I hate
Yeah.
that we, and it's more of women that'll call another woman that, and it's like, why? To me, it's like it pisses me off. It's like just because our traditional values or what we consider traditional or what we want out of ourselves or we feel is more valuable, just because you differentiate from that, now you got to stick to name calling because you can't articulate yourself in a way to get us to understand your perspective. Is just crazy to me. But at the end of the day, I agree with you, Aisha, everything you said wholeheartedly, because I come from my mom, she's Filipino. The Filipino tradition is a lot different than the American tradition. So, you know, how they raise their households, how all those things, like that's kind of what I grew up on. And we never used the word traditional. It was just like, you know, this is what it was. You know, I didn't really start hearing about this traditional, non-traditional stuff until I started doing podcasts, which is like literally this is only my 4th time doing one. So, you know, thank you, Amira, for clarifying what that looks like. Because to me, I thought that's just how it's supposed to be regardless. I didn't know there was a whole terminology for it.
To answer the question before I get off, because I do gotta get off.
Oh, we're about to ready to close out in like 5 minutes anyway. So
Okay. I will answer that question with a no. I don't think I'm a traditional woman, so I don't really necessarily feel like I'm a traditional man. I would rather have a man with traditional values, like core values. As far as that, I think that's what kind of creates the person. But I think that I'm a woman I like to work. I like to have my own money. And then there's times where I like to pay bills as well. I don't necessarily feel like I want my man to have to, pay for everything. I get enjoyment from those type of things as well. I get enjoyment from building with my man, like creating business and things of that type of nature. That's not necessarily traditional, but like I said, as far as like the core values and things of that type of nature, like his belief mindset and things of that type of nature, that's where I want the traditional values to come with. I also like traditional like masculine energy, but that doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, I need him to provide this and provide that no, because I feel like a woman can also provide in different areas as well and kind of uplift her man, the same type of way. And like I think men can cook, I think men can clean. I don't necessarily think that's just a woman's thing to do. So that's what I think about when I think about traditional type of roles.
hey Ash, I think it comes down to the mindset because you do have people that may cook and do some of those things, but I guess if you're challenging a lot with those things that you want to do. So if he's saying, hey, I'm going to do this, you say, no, I'm going to do this. You're trying to control me. I think that mindset is what sometimes becomes a issue. I've seen people be traditional and I've seen them cook. I've seen them do some of the duties that we don't typically see. But I've also heard too that, if you guys are elevating financially, a lot of wealthy people wind up getting maids. Like they don't want their woman having to do none of that shit. they're out traveling and doing everything that they want to do, unless they got some young kids, of course. But like most people that have money, you know, they're hiring people to do a lot of the things that they don't feel like doing or want to do.
Yeah, I agree. But my kids is older, so my oldest is literally about to be 18. So I don't like there's certain stuff that I don't have to do. You get what I'm saying? So it's just like cleaning up and stuff. I have my kids clean up, but I do cook. I do other things or whatever the case may be. But like I said, when I just think of traditional, I just think of like just me being in the house, just tending to the children and things of that type of nature. I just kind of have my own kind of view on it, the type of marriage and relationship that I want with a partner that fits me, that I could see myself being genuinely happy with. And I kind of always been that type of person that kind of stepped out a little bit on tradition, just because I just feel like sometimes um, even with my beliefs or whatever, I'm just kind of a person that kind of takes and fits things that matches me and works for me. So it's just kind of like I've always been that type of person that kind of
Wait, Ash,
mold and fit. Wait, hold on.
Ash,
Let me finish, Mary, fast. Let me finish. Hold on. I got you. So I kind of like am that type of person that will take bits and pieces of things and then kind of make it fit and mold my life. I'm the only person that can walk in my own shoes. So I want to create my relationship, my marriage, my family structure the way that I see fit. I don't necessarily like to kind of feel like I have to conform to the society's normal,
So you want to lead your household?
Where did I say that? I just
wait.
said, see, you were
I
not,
have questions.
Lewis, you literally was not listening. I said, I would prefer, right, a man that still has the core values, right, of a, what was the question? Damn, what did you call him? A
You
traditional
said you
man.
want a traditional
That's,
man, but you want to be non-traditional.
yes, that's his. I said, because I'm not a traditional person, but I said I would like and prefer a man that had the core values, right, of a traditional man. A traditional man believes in God. He believes he's the head of the household. That's what I mean. I didn't know I was going to have to go into details like that. But yes, so
Would a
that's
traditional
what
man
I
be
mean by
happy? Would a traditional man be happy with a woman who's not traditional like yourself?
that. Yeah, because I tend to date men that are not traditional as far as being traditional down to the T. They have like their own kind of like mindset, or maybe a little bit quirky like myself. So I tend to kind of gravitate towards people who are like that versus just somebody who has to stick to the book. Like you gotta do it like this, do it. No, I want to be with people and somebody who kind of okay with kind of like creating our own traditions.
Well, they do have
Like,
those programs
like,
where you
like,
can build a man, Amir. They do have those programs out there.
Oh my gosh, really?
they
Yeah,
do.
Like Build a Bear?
yeah. You know, you could find them at their lowest point in life, and you can actually instill your own values in them. So that's how she's able to get, traditional values, but they're non-traditional. She still maintains the control. So this is, yeah.
Okay, so
I'm
I
not
get it.
maintaining any type of control. I'm just being more myself. That's what I mean, right?
No,
Being
I wasn't necessarily talking about, you asked. I'm just talking about
okay.
this, like
Yeah.
this
So
program.
I'm
I think
not
it's a
I'm
brilliant
not
idea. Yeah.
It's a new
I'm
app, isn't
not
it?
a masculine woman. I love masculine men. I'm very,
Yeah.
I love masculine men. I allow men to lead.
Yeah. Someone who can put you in your place, but you still have that control. I got you. Yeah.
No, put me in my place. I don't want
There you
control.
go, Lapeef.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. Maybe I'm different. Maybe I'm different, but like I don't want to think. I think all damn day. You know what I mean? Like I gotta think when I go to work. I gotta think when I'm doing my streams and sit there and entertain people all day. I gotta think when I'm writing these songs, when I'm making these beats, when I'm writing songs for artists. When I'm with you, I don't want to fucking think, bro. I just want to chill and just enjoy my time.
With that soft life.
I do. I know it sounds stupid. I know it's like maybe even delusional. I just don't want to think anymore. I'm tired. I'm fucking exhausted. Dating is exhausting. All this shit is exhausting. Whatever I gotta fucking do at this point, let it be, because I'm tired. I'm fucking tired.
Yeah, Ash, how does that sound to you, Ash? Like what Callie just said, how does that sound?
I think she froze.
She might be speechless.
Okay, what did you say?
I said, how does that sound? What Callie just said, like, does that sound like a good life?
It is. I have a soft life as well. I'm just saying that I am still more of a person where I'm a little bit different, and it's okay to be different. I think that's why I am open, right? And I'm not so hard on other people living different lives because I don't believe that everybody have to have the same life or have the same relationships or have the same mindset. You know what I'm saying? So I don't come up here and I don't look at people and try to attack them for what they believe or what they think or how their lifestyle should be. I think that that's the beauty of the world. That's why everybody look different. That's why there's different races and all of those type of things. I think it's different. And I think that it's your life. And I feel like once you are really grounded and rooted in who you are as a person, you understand who you are as a person, you love yourself as a person, you understand who works for you and who doesn't, right? You understand that you can create the life that you want, be with the partner that you want. I don't set limitations on myself. Like I said, I take bits and pieces of what I learned, my upbringing, the things that I may necessarily feel like I like this. I think this is cool. I think blase. And I built my own foundations and I created my own relationships based on that.
Period.
There's nothing wrong too. And I think that, and I'm sorry, Ash, I don't mean to come off like towards you. Okay. I get really passionate about life. So I tend to like speak with a lot of passion, but my passion isn't directed towards you. I just start talking about something and I start saying shit. But for the most part, no, like what you're looking for within your life, like you said, it works for you. And at the end of the day, that's all that really matters because not one of us on this panel is going to pay your damn bills unless you start dating one. But other than that, I think that, you know, I'm sorry. Other than that, no, you keep living in your life and living in your truth, and there ain't nothing nobody else can say about that. People look at me crazy all the damn time, call me this Disney delusional princess. Hell the fuck yes, give me my crown. I don't give a fuck because at the end of the day, I'm gonna live, I'm gonna smile, and then I'm gonna die. Period. So, you know, as long as people in my life are happy, as long as I'm happy, as long as what I want is happening for me, and I'm not sitting there depressed all the damn time, that's all that matters.
JR, I gotta say something because this was something that was brought up multiple times and repeated over and over.
My truth.
I don't understand when a lot of you women say, I want a man who is traditional. I don't understand what makes you think that men can be anything else other than a traditional man. They still got to work. They still got to provide. They still have to be leaders, still have to lay out structure. They still have to perform in a certain type of manner in society. They can't be laid up on the couch or whatever. So I don't understand. Like dudes have to perform. You're not dating or marrying somebody who's not going to perform.
No, Luis. No, Luis. There is an untraditional man today, and you've seen him. The men who are out there.
Homosexual.
What?
It's a homosexual.
No.
A man who stays at home and allows his woman to work, and he plays Xbox or PlayStation, whatever game console he prefers, and she takes on the brunt of everything. She pays the bills.
Or
you know what I'm saying?
Or the ones that ask for 50-50. This is not a traditional man. Traditional men.
Exactly. That too.
Yeah. All right, let me get to these couple super chats. Tommy M. Also, remember $2 says, what is the mindset of that smoke alarm battery? That's Simone with the 999 says, traditional equals men dictate your life and you have no say so. Interesting. Ekin $2 says, delusional in action. You attract who you are. Tommy M, also a member, $5 says, sponsor the show should be Duracell to get some batteries for Ashes smoke detector. And the sponsor of the show is that Simone 499 says, my husband covers me by giving me what I need to do my job. You married? Nah. Congratulations. Congratulations.
She's not married. Di isn't married, is she?
Unless she went to Vegas.
She was
Yeah.
just.
Y'all get up here and say the same thing about my smoke alarms. They work. It's just the one in my bedroom, right? If I could just show y'all my ceiling where it's like they kind of fixing it or whatever, I would do that. But yes,
If you had a traditional man, you wouldn't have those issues. 'Cause
Certainly.
a traditional man wouldn't be able to sleep with that noise.
Certainly.
well, it's no man in my house right now, so yeah.
What happened? Oh well, he'll be back later.
I thought you said you married or you're getting back together.
Did y'all hear me when I said we didn't live together, or y'all just don't remember that?
Well,
Okay.
does he come over at all?
I have kids, so why wouldn't he come?
Well, I'm just saying, when you come over there,
Yeah, if it's a water damage, right, and somebody is not a plumber, all men, are you a plumber? Is anybody up here a plumber?
Oh, I thought you said y'all was at
Electrical
another place.
wire.
I thought
Can
you said
anybody
you
fix
was
electrical wire?
at,
That's what I'm saying.
I thought you said last show you was at another place and it had the same issue. So I didn't know you was back
No,
at there.
I said I've been here. No, I said I've been here. No, first of all, let's rewind it. I literally said I moved here in October, right? And then there was a water issue in my in my room. They
Mhm.
have to fix it. It's wires in the wall and the ceiling. If I work, right, that means an adult has to be in the house. So they're doing it slowly but surely. I have to dig in my roof. I have to go home for that. So that's what I'm
I
saying.
don't, I don't know if somebody was on the show
At
last
all.
time. I thought you said that they moved to a different place and they still had the same issue. And somebody cracked a joke and was like, "Oh, so you went from one place to another place and they still had the same issue?"
No, I said I've been here. If anybody watched the loft, I'm in the same house.
Okay.
Why don't you take the batteries out since it's not
The
working anymore?
battery is
Well,
out.
they're like hardwired in and batteries. So now when you
It's a
in the newer
water
places,
damage.
they're all
If I
hardwired,
showed you
and
guys
then the
right now,
back.
you would think
Okay, you got
literally
it,
no
Ash.
wall.
Go ahead.
JR, I can't hear you because
Well, what I'm saying is that the batteries are now serve as a backup. So they're all hardwired together, and the battery will beat when it's time to replace the batteries, even though they hardwired. But she's saying in her situation, there's a water damage, and they're slowly but surely getting it together. And I'm not a plumber, so that's all I can really provide.
Y'all see that up there? You see that spot right there? They're fixing it. There's no battery in there either. There's no battery. They're still making the noise. So I don't think people. That's what I'm saying. The comments is weird. Obviously, if you don't know what you're talking about, not coming at y'all. It's just comments in the
They
there's
just be trolling, Ash. That's part of being on the internet.
Ash
They
wants
just
to
be
fight.
trolling.
I'm gonna say this. I could take it. My thing is, if you're gonna give it out, make sure you can take it back. That's me. I'm always gonna be a person that advocate for myself, especially when I feel like it's just like the same stuff over and over and over. I'm gonna say it, and then I'm just like, bro, no. My story hasn't changed. I've been very transparent up here. I've been being myself. I ain't being nobody else. I ain't trying to fake the funk like I'm this, like I'm that. This is
Period.
There you go, Ash. Talk to him. Talk your shit. Get it off your chest.
People, that goddamn smoke detector, man. You need to kill that son, bitch.
This ass came with the
I
direct message.
don't want to hear you. You was just on a. I don't know what you was
Don't
on.
worry
Bro.
about it now.
Some type of
Big dog back now.
Bro.
Big dog is back now.
You was so pixelated, like you, bro. It looked like you was in a game of Minecraft just now.
It doesn't matter where I was. See, that's what you see. That's your problem. You don't have a man like me. You ain't got a man who out there putting that work in, sacrificing. Make sure his wife's at home up in the bedroom waiting on me, and now I'm gonna go make love to her after I take a shower. See, that's what she got. You ain't got them blessings. You got that goddamn smoke to keep beeping every 5 to 10 seconds. Oh, now.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna leave y'all with this. Hold on. Do we have another super chat came in? No, that's it. I'm gonna leave y'all with this clip on the way out. Thank you guys. Make sure y'all support everybody on the panel, and we out.
Tricky if you're dating a girl and she makes more than you, right? I don't think that that's a bad thing. I don't think that you shouldn't date a chick just because she makes more than you, because if you're still self-sufficient and can afford where y'all live at. I don't give a fuck how much money you make. I'm still paying the bills. It don't matter. It come down to the, like, what does she want? What does she like? It could get weird if she wants to do things that she can do and will do on her own that you can't afford to do with her.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, let's say if she makes a lot of bread and every time she go to the Bulls game, she like on the floor, or every time she goes to a concert, she front row at the concert, whatever the case may be. You want to take her to an event, but you might not be there to where like you could get a floor seat or whatever the case may be. So now you might want to be in the 200 section. She like, I don't really do the 200 section.
Yeah.
So I don't even want to inconvenience my experience at this event to be with you because you can't afford to do it.
Yeah.
That's when shit can get tricky.
But-
I'd say from 2020 to about early 2023, every girl I dated made more money. It wasn't a situation though I wasn't making no money, so
Yeah.
they knew that they made more money than the average girl. So they wasn't tripping like, nigga, you should make as much as me. They knew like people our age typically just don't make this much money. And that's cool. However, I did fall into situations to where it's like, damn, I know when she go here and she go there, she do it this way. So I need to be able to match that. Like if I'm paying for the date, I can't put her in a 300 level or 200 level or whatever if she used to this. So now I'm doing that shit, but I can't really afford to do that shit. I shouldn't have been doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? I should be dating somebody who is cool with how I like to do shit and where I'm at right now. You know what I'm saying? Now,
Was this
and that's
known?
just what it was.
Is this something that you know, or does she know this too? Like, cause you
That I couldn't do that?
Yeah.
She ain't know because it was done. Like, yeah, I was doing it. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't doing it in comfort. And I
Okay.
think that's the difference between, you know, a lot of people feel like they can afford something just because they got the money for it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, can you do that comfortably? Does doing this affect another decision you got to make? That's comfort. You know what I'm saying?
To pay time.
Yeah, so it might even be robbing Peter to pay time. It might be we going on a trip. And somebody might say, I want to fly first class. If I got to say, well, if we flying first class, we can't go on them excursions. That means we can't afford it.
Yeah.
At that point, we can't afford it. Because now we got to affect, if it's this or that, then you just can't afford it. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, we finna be the last niggas off the plane. That's cool. Like, let's be patient. I got a good playlist.
A lot of times the woman, it's not even pressure from her to on you to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what you have in you as a man to want to do these things for this woman because you know what I'm saying? It's not even that you're trying to impress her. You just want to be able to step up to the plate and do things that
sustain what she already had going on.
Exactly.
Because I think impressing is like you never been on or you never had a floor seat. Let me get you one. Let me show you what this life is like. That's impressing. When she already doing that, it's not impressive. It's just sustaining. Like she done this shit a million times. It's not impressive.
We did have a super chat that came in. We had to acknowledge this. Tommy M with the $5 also remember said just replaced every smoke alarm battery in my crib. No beeping at all. Buy some D batteries and put them in. Sounds like the old NBA commercial. Thank you there, Tommy. All right, y'all. We out. Thank you guys. Hit that like button. Also make sure you subscribe to the channel.